Hey, it's Hank. Welcome to my channel. I'm Hank Jr. I'm excited to take this channel in a new direction. I'm going to fully focus on nerd-related things, mainly the new Flesh and Blood TCG and a bunch of booster box openings. Throughout the channel, I'll try and sprinkle in some more nerd stuff, and I'm really excited to maybe even try to do a local game store tour where I go around and try and get information on different game stores, get them a little exposure while also getting to see new places and try and maybe open up some packs in the stores, meet a bunch of new people, and we'll see how that goes. So today what I wanted to do is kind of give you a history on my nerd cred and kind of show you the games and things that I've been into in the past, which will then lead us into the future, which will be opening of Flesh and Blood product and kind of go from there. So come along on this journey and check out my nerd cred. All right, so nowadays I'm an EMT firefighter assigned to an engine, but back in the day my nerddom all started with video games, Kirby, the original Nintendo. It was in the early 90s. I was maybe 5 years old, and that's where it kind of all began. When it comes to actual games, like physical games, my original game introduction was Magic the Gathering. We'll go ahead and embarrass my sister a little bit. There's some goofy old photos of her. This used to be her like jewelry or some kind of box, whatever. I later took it over in the 90s because I needed a place to store my Magic cards. Nowadays it just kind of holds my lands. As you can see, if I ever decide to get back into Magics, I can build some decks. And here's a little glimpse of Pokemon. I built a pink deck. You'll find the thing about me is that I love pink, mainly because guys are afraid of it, and so it makes me stick out that I like pink, so that's what we do. So Magic the Gathering, my original obsession, where I became obsessed with goblins, as you can see, and you'll see a little more in the future with that. Next, let's show you the goblin obsession. All right, so we're gonna jump around a little bit. As you can see, time twister. Just because we just talked about Magic, I kind of want to get into a little more Magic, right? So played a little bit of Magic when I was a kid. Didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but it led to my obsession with goblins. Fast forward to much older, working as a dispatcher for 911, and I become obsessed with goblins. And a buddy of mine says, "Hey, have you ever played Magic before?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not really interested in it though because it costs a lot of money and I'm just not really interested in standard." And he said, "Well, there's this Eternal format that you don't have to spend a bunch of money. You just buy a card or two from the sets that release that work for your deck." And I said, the only way I'm ever really going to get into that is if you can make me a deck completely full of goblins. Well, my friend Matt says, I happen to be able to do that. And from his brain, he creates a deck list for Krenko Mob Boss, which introduces me to spending way too much money on Magic cards. Here's just a few straight out of the middle. We can look. Obviously, these are the best mountains ever printed. Don't argue. Don't at me. These are the best mountains ever printed. Veronique Mingold, I think it is. Yeah, there we go. She makes the best lands in the game. So you can kind of see this is an aggro combo deck. It's incredible. I've won so many games with it. I've gone to GP Orlando, had a lot of fun with it. There you go. Look at that little foil in there. So I've had a lot of fun with it over the years. And unfortunately, by starting a Goblin Commander deck, it kind of fueled my obsession for collecting goblins. I'd already had some cheaper goblins. I didn't know how much these goblins could get, but it fueled my obsession, and that led me to the idea of just collecting goblins. So it originally started with a harmless, little, hey, whatever goblins I come across. As you can see, these are unsets that I actually have in order. But then I kind of just started sorting by color, mana cost, and name, right? So color, then name, then mana cost. I don't know. Mana cost, then name. I don't remember. But anyways, you can see I was obsessed. I started collecting goblins like crazy. And then I decided recently that I would be a moron. And that it was my goal then to collect every goblin ever printed. Sorry if you can hear my kids screaming. I do have 2 young children, and they're fighting nap time. But anyway, so we'll go right here. Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. Goblins, 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 goblins. You would think this is a lot of goblins. However, because I'm a moron, and I decided that not only was I going to collect every goblin ever printed, here's some extra weird stuff, I was going to not only collect just the goblins, but every goblin art. And let me tell you how dumb of an idea that was. Magic has been in print, I believe, since 1993. I'm currently looking at websites that show you every card from the sets, and I am still only in 2011. I have spent hours upon hours looking at every single card in every single set, trying to just find these goblins. And then my goal is to put them all in exact order from set, every goblin ever printed, even if it's just an image of a goblin that happens to tinily appear on an image. So that's my current journey in my original card game Magic and where I'm at now today. I did get into, as you saw, there was a Pokemon back there. I did get into Pokemon a little bit when I was a kid, but I never played because I was in, I think, middle school and no one knew how to play. We just collected cards and we had no idea what stuff was worth, and it was fun. The first game I like kind of didn't even realize I was kind of doing like meta and anti-meta stuff was Yu-Gi-Oh! I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't have any more Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. I only have that one Pokemon card because I recently opened a pack at my local card shop. But yeah, so that's where it all began. After we went through those card games, or maybe sometime in between, like I said, we're jumping all over the timeline, we got into Pokemon. And Pokemon led us across many years of different devices. As you can tell in my original game, Pokemon Yellow, I believe I played it on this. And then we got a little pocket, some color action, and then we got our DS. This has nothing to do with Pokemon, but I just figured I'd just throw it in there because I have it. However, it took me all the way till Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu before I actually fully completed a Pokedex, I think. I was pretty lazy about these games. I just enjoyed playing them. I never really got super serious about them until Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. And so there you go. That's the journey of electronics. Obviously, sprinkled in is PlayStation, PlayStation 2, 3, 4, whatever, all those other systems. I've owned pretty much every Nintendo system, an Xbox or two, and currently I just have a Switch and this stuff. And then I've got a PlayStation 3 and 4, which we pretty much just use for video. My main jam, video game wise, is Star Citizen on my PC that I custom built. I've got pictures and stuff linked all over. I'll link my social media so you guys can check some of the older pictures out. But once I get internet again, we will be streaming Star Citizen on Twitch. I'll leave a link below, and that's video games. All right, forgot to mention Gizmo. He was part of my obsession with goblins, even though he's not one. He kind of looks like one. So there you go. Figured I'd throw him on the screen for a second. Of course, he's wearing my Browns thing. I'm a big Cleveland Indians, Browns, Cavaliers, and Ohio State fan. Yes, I'm a well-rounded person. I'm a nerd, and I like sports and stuff. All right, anyway, so back to more nerd stuff. After card games came a different kind of card game, Munchkin. We got the deluxe edition, which then led us to some extra special sets, and then led us to Munchkin Quest. Really fun game. You basically set up a dungeon with tiles as you go, and oh, it's so fun. It includes all the backstabbery of Munchkin, but also adds a quest in. The one thing you'll find with pretty much every game that I've been into, TCG or board game, I love them. I wish I could play them all the time. I just don't have the nerd friends. So a lot of this stuff has been neglected. I'm hoping with this new Flesh and Blood thing, it'll re-energize me, and hopefully I can find a good community. And yeah, on to the next thing. Pretty much my gateway into a lot of these games was my friend Ted. We got kind of into Munchkin together, which led us into Zombicide. Really fun game. It's different every time you play it, and everything is procedurally generated by pulling cards and rolling dice. Another super fun game. This is a true nerd game where it takes more time to set up and explain the game to people than it does to actually play it. Lot of fun, but true nerd game. After Zombicide came Pathfinder Adventure Card Game. This game is so much fun. Again, problem is no one to play with, takes forever to set up, forever to explain, but once you start, it's basically a dungeon crawler with, you have different classes, and then your life is your hand, which has weapons and spells and such, and basically you've got different amounts of areas that you have to go to, and you're searching for the main villain. And if you have all the other locations closed, the villain has nowhere to run, you win the dungeon. As you're going through the dungeon, you get to battle different monsters or if you have a high enough stat, you can try and collect an item to add to your inventory. And it's just a blast. This game was probably one of my introductions to collecting too much. I had a subscription and I have like 4 sets of this and multiple expansions. Spent way too much money on this. Don't ever play it. If anybody's interested in playing it with me, hit me up. Playing Pathfinder led me to an obsession with dice. I don't have a ton, but I do have some pink ones and some other fun stuff, which then led my wife and I to create a dice tower for the first time. Makes dice rolling so much easier, so much more fun. On to the next game. Next game Ted got me into, Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game. My gosh, was this game fun. Couldn't really get too deep into it just because it was pretty cost prohibitive buying all the different ships. But just playing the base set was a ton of fun, and you can still collect the ships. I'll show you here real quick. The ships kind of look like this. So here's a little top. Okay, it fell apart, but it's a TIE fighter. It goes on a little clear base, and it's got stats and stuff on it. And here's an X-Wing, so you can kind of see the stats on it. Different pilots have different stats. But anyway, this could be something, you know, if I ever want to collect tiny Star Wars ships, it's a good way to do it. On to the next game. Because I was into board games and I'm trying to get my wife into board and card games, and it takes a lot to get her interested in a game. She liked firefighting stuff. This was before I became a firefighter, and I was like, well, how can I get my wife to play with me? I've got an idea. She likes firefighting stuff. Boom, I'll get a firefighting game. Actually a ton of fun. So you've got a map set up. It's a house. And then basically the house is on fire and you have to save people before either the house collapses or you lose too many victims. And what a fun game. It's all random because you roll dice to determine where fire's spreading, and it can cause explosions, and there's all kinds of different game modes. But man, what a fun game. She played it a few times. Wasn't really into it. So again, no one to play with. This is actually a game that, it's a nerd game that I can actually introduce friends to because it's pretty quick to explain, pretty quick to set up, and so they don't lose interest before the game starts. So there you go, on to the next one. So after all those games, Dungeons & Dragons is something that always interested me. I bought this kind of starter set. You can actually play solo, which is really cool. You just have a quick little campaign. There's like a rollout map. It was really fun. It wasn't until many, many, many years later when I was actually streaming on Twitch that I got to start a campaign of real D&D. Unfortunately, it fell through because our DM had personal issues, and then we moved and I lost internet. So I have never been able to do a real, like, in the flesh game of D&D, but I really think I'd enjoy it. I think I'd be good at it, especially because I can be a goblin. As a child, obviously, I was into Batman. The 90s show is probably the best Batman ever created. And then I found out that there was a pink Batman. So I got to include my love of the color pink and Batman in the same thing. How cool is that? So I got, you know, this pink pop. I don't have a lot of pops. Luckily, I didn't get obsessed with that. But I got this as a birthday gift. And so I had some pink Batman stuff, right? Which segues into my next obsession, which was comic books. I currently have 22 comic books for sale at Cloak and Dagger in Ormond Beach, Florida. So if you're interested in graded books, check them out. There's a bunch of keys. So the few that I did keep, however, are, of course, Batman as a Green Lantern, because how flippin' cool is that, right? 9.8 signed by Tony Daniel. Pretty cool, right? Well, recently, you guys, if you guys have been watching my other videos, you would have seen the unboxing of this beauty, right? Which now ties in the box, this, and the comic. This comic is very old, 1957, right? So now I've got my 3 pink Batmans. How cool is that? And I've got my Green Lantern Batman. And then the most recent unboxing, if you guys want to go back and watch it, boom. I'm obsessed with goblins. This is Hobgoblin. And look at that sketch. Incredible. So I got obsessed with comics for a while. As I said, I've got 22 graded comics for sale currently. And yeah, my gateway kind of to that was my friend Garrett. He told me all about how there was about to be a Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles release, and I loved both of those things. So I went to a Comic-Con and had this drawn. Wow, freaking incredible. Casey Jones, first appearance, special little note, just awesome. And then I moved on. We're almost to the future, just one more detour. I forgot, I used to play HeroClix. This is my only HeroClix left, and because it matches that comic. There we go. All right, so now the future of where we're at, right? This is the future of the channel. I really hope that we can get a good following. I have so many ideas, so many thoughts to get going with this, but this is the future of the channel. I plan on opening this unsanctioned. I know you already know what's in it. It tells you exactly what's in it, but this is a really cool game. Again, obsessed with goblins. Gonna need these to complete my set. So we've got that, but the real cake right here. This will be our first video on Flesh and Blood. We're gonna open up all 4 of these Blitz decks from Monarch. This is how I'm gonna get started in the game. I have not yet played, I'm so excited. This will be my introduction to the game, so it'll be y'all's introduction to me opening cards as I throw them everywhere. All right, and then we've got 2 boxes of Unlimited Welcome to Wraith, 1 box of Unlimited Arcane Rising, 1 box of Unlimited Monarch. Couldn't get more boxes because this is what my 2 local stores had. And then we've got this bad boy over here. That's a first edition Monarch box. Super excited about that one. And we've got 4 boxes of Flesh and Blood. My first ever case. The first box I opened, booster box, will be the first booster box I've ever opened. So I plan on trying to spread this out to give you guys some content, tons of stuff to open. I'm super excited about the future of this channel. One more thing, I went to the second store I went to is in DeLand, Florida. It's called BSP Games. The staff was so incredible, including the manager. I asked how Digimon was and how their card stock was because I'd heard MetaZoo's was very bad. Can't get into MetaZoo because everybody bought it up. So he handed me this pack. I looked through it, checked the card quality, said, man, that's pretty cool. Wasn't really into Digimon, probably still won't be into Digimon, but he gave me the pack. How cool is that? What a great way to start off a relationship with a customer, including giving me discounts on these items here. So that's where we're at now. I really hope you guys join me on this journey, opening packs, playing games, talking nerd stuff. So until next time, guys, peace out. Sorry, I almost forgot. I want to let you guys know that I do plan on having a much better studio setup. As you can see, my room's kind of a mess right now. I'm probably going to be using my computer setup. I've already got a camera there, which I use for streaming, and then I'll do some type of top-down camera. So the quality of these videos will improve over time, and I want to try and bring you guys the highest quality possible. Hopefully you stick along with me for this ride, and this is why I wear a hat. All right, guys, until next time.